Hey everyone, how's it going? JD Strategic here. I hope everyone's doing great today. Super excited for this video. I'm be talking about the average salary in this country, which is $56,000 approximately. And I just want to talk about one of the big points of this video is to show that everyone has the ability to achieve wealth. We've talked about the latte factor and how if you just invest $5 a day into yourself, you can become a millionaire over the course of 40 years just investing in the S&P 500 index fund. There really is this huge stereotype in this country that it's the rich versus the poor. But in every family, most people started off as immigrants. Everyone came from this country from somewhere else. And everyone started off as poor, but along the way, some member of that family made that one decision that he or she was going to do something differently from the rest and kind of achieve that wealth for the family. And then it ultimately becomes up to the next generation to see how they go about creating that wealth and ultimately preserving that wealth, which if you read some of the books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad or The Average Millionaire, by the second and even the third generation especially, most of the wealth has already disappeared. So it really is hard to preserve wealth. It is hard to preserve some of these habits. It usually is just kind of like a one generational thing. Which is one of the big stereotypes that like it can't be me, it can't be me. But in reality, it really is just making that one decision to say, I'm going to be successful and determine that you're going to automatically invest that money, reoccurring investments. This really isn't something where you have to outperform the market. You don't have to be putting in all this time and effort. It's just these reoccurring investments. So once you get that salary, once you get whatever job it may be, just investing reoccurring through that 401k, whatever it may be, and just always being invested in the market, because as you read more and more about the market, you learn that this is really the only way to achieve wealth. So it really is important to just constantly be investing in the market. And then there's kind of the stereotype that you can't invest, you don't have the ability to invest. We talked about the latte factor and how everyone has that $5 a day to invest in themselves. But let's kind of make this video more realistic for you guys and talk about, so this is the average salary in the country, $56,000. So this is also something really important for people to understand is when you get that salary, people really have that stereotype that that's what you're making. So if you're making $56,000, if you divide that by 12, you would expect to make $4,666 per month. But taxes, that's just not true. So if you live in Massachusetts, over the course of the year, you'd be paying just over $12,000 in taxes. So your net pay is actually $43,735. So when you look at that monthly income would be $3,645 a month. So that's already $1,000 less than what you would expect. So that kind of goes back to one of the earlier videos where Grant Cardone talks about you should anticipate 40% of your money just going straight to the IRS. So obviously right now you're starting off, you're in a lower tax bracket, so you're not paying 40% obviously, so you have more that you can keep to yourself and invest and save and pay off debt. But it is important to understand that when you get that salary, that's not the number that you should be budgeting based upon. So that's really important for everyone to understand. So let's kind of get into this $3,645 per month number. And these are just kind of some of the expenses that I was kind of brainstorming that someone younger in their life may have. But I kind of wanted to stay at the higher end of some of these numbers just because everyone has different expenses. So let's kind of look at some of these numbers. So the student debt number, so actually the student debt number is about, people pay about $220 per month. But then I read that about a third of those respondents are on deferment payments, so they're not able to make consistent payments on these loans. So I wanted to make that number a lot higher. I almost doubled that number. So this is kind of the higher end of paying student debt. So let's say you're paying $400 a month. Then let's say you're living in an apartment. It's pretty expensive. You're paying all these utilities, electric, gas, whatever it may be. Dryer, washing machine. Let's say you're paying $2,000 a month on top of that. And then groceries right now, we all know how expensive groceries and gas are coming up. So let's say you pay $300 in groceries. $250 in gas. And then this last month category here is just fun money, and that's at $500, and that's just kind of like a miscellaneous expense. So whether you're going out with friends, maybe your Netflix subscription, your Spotify subscription, or whatever it is that you do for fun, hanging out with friends, wherever you do spending money, it's important to account for that, because overall life's about living in the moment, having fun with your friends, family, whatever it may be. So it's not all about investing and saving money. The investing and saving money is just so that you're not a hostage to your 9 to 5 your whole life, and you're able to craft that future that you want later in your life. So let's say you have all these expenses, and like I said, these are kind of at the higher end, so you could throw in more expenses as needed, but this would total up to $3,450. So when we talk about that average salary in the country, and we can expect $3,645 per month, that would leave us with $195 left over per month. And as we talked about that latte factor, that's just investing $5 a day in yourself. So that would be $150. And if you invested that over the course of 40 years, based on the 10% returns, that would be almost $1 million. So this is literally goes to show that no one has any excuses to not be investing in themselves. You know, a lot of people aren't even paying student debt, so that's another $400 that you have to yourself. So there's a lot of extra kind of wiggle room here, but these are kind of playing at the higher end of the sticks and just going to show that everyone kind of has a little money left over. So let's kind of get into the next slide where we can see how investing this money would go along with us. So let's say you're 25 years old, you just got that salary, you want to start investing until the age of 60, that's when you plan on retiring. And these numbers are all based upon just investing in the S&P 500 and based upon that expected 10% return. Like I talked about in an earlier video, I actually would anticipate higher than 10% returns just based off the future of technology. But let's say you have that $195 right now, you're paying student debt, you have an apartment with your friends, you're paying groceries, gas, you have all these expenses, you're finally living on your own, and you have $195 left over per month. If you invested that on a monthly basis, that would be worth about $740,000 by the age of 60. And then some of these other numbers that I want to talk about, and as you can see, the more you invest, the more wealth you can generate over time. So that $295, that's just, let's say, right now in a time of recession, possibly inflation, definitely, but if you can just afford to save $100 extra a month, look at how much further that will go. So you're well into being a millionaire by the age of 60, and that's just saving an extra $100. So whether that's being able to pay off your student debt in time, or just maybe not going out as much, but that's not necessarily the point. You can obviously go out, have fun with your friends, but the point is to always be paying yourself first. So investing in the market and then going out to do all these things. So if you're just constantly spending your paycheck, the money's eventually going to evaporate. That's why you need to invest and accumulate that wealth over time. And then the $729 a month number, that's because based upon the book, The Average Millionaire Next Door, we learned that millionaires tend to invest 15 to 20% of their income into the stock market. So if you were getting that $56,000 annual paycheck and you were investing 20% of that, that would be $729 per month, and that would be worth $2.7 million by the age of 60. So that's an impressive number. If we kind of understand these habits of millionaires and understanding that it really is just a matter of not kind of blaming rich people and saying, oh, they need to pay more in taxes and whatnot, but understanding you yourself are one decision away from accumulating that wealth as well. And you really just need to kind of decide that for yourself and figure out where are your expenses coming from and just automatically investing. You're not looking at lines on a chart and saying, oh, I need to throw money in here. You're just throwing money into an index fund through your paycheck. You're not even seeing this money. You're not clicking on anything. It's just automatically happening. So then lastly, this $1,458 per month number, that's because what I talked about, the average millionaire next door, that 15 to 20% of your income, these books aren't going to teach you the truth about really how to get rich. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they don't actually write their books. So it's important to really watch what these people are doing rather than not necessarily listening all the time. So Grant Cardone's a perfect example, and he's actually achieved this. And I talked about in my earlier video how he talks about how 40% of your income straight to the IRS, and that's assuming you're in a higher tax bracket. 40% you want to invest and save so that you can craft that future that you want, and then 20% is what you live off of, so those expenses, the day-to-day that you need. So that 20% number, that is going to be tough to achieve, but that is a strong goal to have. And if you can do that, you can literally accumulate so much wealth over time. You can see that's $5.5 million over time. So it really is important to understand. Just everyone kind of sits back and they complain about their 9 to 5. They don't want to work their whole life. But what are you doing to change that? Or are you just complaining about it? And even if you are investing money, you should understand, where's that money going to get you in 40 years? So understanding, how much you're investing per month. Are you investing $100 per month? Okay. So what can you do to invest $200 per month? Look at your budgeting per month. What can you cut out? Where are your unnecessary spending habits? And in a time like this, that's more important than ever. But I really think it's important. I hear so many people complaining about their job, but it's important to craft that future that you want. So always kind of planning for the future and understanding that just investing these small amounts can go such a long way. And as you kind of accumulate more wealth, you can invest more and kind of save more into your future. So this is another important stat that I wanted to talk about, and just a few other things kind of to show that there are other ways to kind of cut out expenses and things not talked about. So in that spreadsheet, I was saying that you were paying student debt $400 a month, and that was saying those expenses were happening until the age of 60, which really isn't going to be true. So let's say you finish paying off your student debt by the age of 35, you're paying that $400 a month, and then that finally disappears and you have that money to start investing. That would be worth, if you start investing that at age 35 to the age of 60, so that's a much shorter time period, that would already be worth just shy of $500,000. So that's pretty impressive. So that just goes to show that those expenses, some of them are going to go out over time, while you will gain expenses in other ways. So just figuring out those budgeting habits and how you can figure out how to make the most out of your money and how to make it work for you. But something also interesting is about 18% of adults aged 25 to 34 are living in a household with a parent. So that means you're not you're spending that $2,000 on an apartment. You have extra money to save and invest in yourself. So that's a really good opportunity if you have that opportunity to be able to invest and save in yourself. And also, we're talking about that average salary in the country is $56,000. And over time, you're going to work your way up the ladder. You might go somewhere else. Your salary is going to increase over time. So these numbers will go up over time. You'll have more to invest in yourself. And just because you get a bigger salary, it shouldn't be seen as, oh, I need to get a bigger apartment, I need to spend more, I need to buy a big chain, whatever it may be. It's just a better opportunity to invest and craft that future that you want. Because buying stuff is really only short-term satisfaction, whereas when I'm investing, I know that I'm crafting that future that I want later down the road, and that's something that's a lot more satisfactory in my opinion. So overall, I just want to clarify that all these numbers are based off just investing into the S&P 500 index fund. We're not investing in Facebook, Apple. We're trying to pick our own stocks, not looking at small caps, trying to pick a home run stock. We're investing in S&P 500, which has exposure to companies like Apple and Facebook, whatever it may be. But we're not putting in all this effort and time. It's just these recurring investments. Like I said, everyone has that latte factor. Where are you spending $5 a day where you can invest that in yourself? It doesn't matter what your salary is, what your paycheck is. Everyone has that minimum amount to start investing and start crafting that future that you want. So that's everything that I wanted to talk about today. I really just wanted to hammer home the point that everyone has that ability to generate wealth. So many people try to pin people against each other with this whole rich versus poor thing, but everyone has the ability, and it's really just one decision away, and just figuring out how you can accumulate that wealth and figuring out your budgeting habits, and that investing automatically, and where will that money get you in 30, 40 years, and being able to craft that future that you want. So thank you everyone for tuning in. JD Strategic out.